Read the disclaimer. Hi, I'm Fabel'd.
I'm Mauve.
And today we're making the bit tier list. Yay!
Yay!
Finally, all three of them are done.
Cool. So we covered blades, we covered ratchets, and now we're finally on bits.
Yep. This one's going to take a little bit longer than the ratchets, but probably not as long as the blades. Mm-hmm. But this is really interesting stuff. I like the bits. I think this is the... Movement is really cool, and I really like Beyblade's movement.
Yeah, it's a really important part of your Beyblade design.
Yes.
Is picking your bit and knowing how your bit is going to behave when you launch it.
Yes. And there are definitely, like, honestly, this list is kind of top-heavy.
It is, but yeah, looking at our pre-selected ranks, it really is. But I think that's because we have good bits.
Yes.
You don't have a lot of trash. You have a whole bunch of things that are relatively equal, and a whole lot of things that are viable.
Right.
I think that's probably one of the coolest things that I've seen come out of Beyblade X is really good bits right from the start.
Yeah, and even though we have a rubber bit, it's not dominating attack.
Right.
Which is, like, we were so worried that rubber's going to come out and just like, okay, attack's all rubber now. Oh boy, time to invest in stock in rubber. But no, Rubber XL is actually not that good. But we'll get to that in the tier list in a second. Any other thoughts before we begin?
No, I'm ready to go. I'm excited for this one.
Alrighty, we're going to start off with the obvious here. Metal Needle's banned in almost every tournament we ever play in because it damages stadiums. It doesn't damage stadiums so much to the fact that you launch it once and your stadium's going to be trash.
We did play with that. We, hammered the stadium using the bit.
Yeah, we did do, 120 rounds with it, and our stadium had some pot marks in it, but it wasn't so damaged we couldn't use it anymore until I slammed a hammer into the thing to make a point. But in a tournament setting, when you have kids and just a whole bunch of people launching it, you're going to get damaged.
And a whole bunch of people. Monkey mode.
Yeah, so it's better just to leave it banned. It's not actually powerful. It is just a safety hazard, really.
Right.
But let's get started with the actual tier list here. With the only entry in F tier, it's Spike.
It's Spike.
It's Spike. It's garbage.
Yeah, so this bit is unfortunately kind of bad.
Yes.
So needles aren't so bad, these spike shapes.
Historically, they've been not great.
Right. Two really big problems. Spike leans over too heavily.
Yes, it does.
Its base is not wide enough to support the Beyblade without falling over.
No,
so you end up scraping.
Yep, you end up scraping a lot. You just end up falling over.
Yep.
And it has it's supposed to be a defense bit according to Karatomi, but you just leave. It doesn't have defense.
It doesn't work that well.
No.
Yeah, the other big problem is that these pointy spike-like bits fall to the center, and then you are exposed to the X line.
And then you're exposed to X dashes, and then you die because you just took a 300-mile-per-hour Beyblade.
Yeah. So in comes, I don't know, Shark Flat.
You're right.
On the X line, zip around while you're just spinning in the center waiting to be smacked.
Yep.
Into F tier it goes. Please never pick this.
Please never pick this. And honestly, it's the only thing that belongs there.
Yeah.
Though, I will say the D tier isn't too far off here with Needle at the bottom of D tier.
Take Needle before taking Spike.
Dude, yes, take Needle before taking Spike, but don't take Needle.
Right. That's the reason that it goes into F tier, because you have the exact same thing but slightly better.
Yes. Honestly, it would probably just go in D tier because I don't really think there's anything that is actually trash. But Spike deserves it. It's not good.
Out of spite.
Out of spite. But Needle it's fine, I guess. It's a stamina bit. It doesn't have any defense, really. You can do some funny lean attack stuff with it, but...
I've been so unsuccessful with the leaning attack.
Yeah.
Because the bit doesn't move around the stadium.
Right.
It doesn't grip the stadium, not like Hexa or even High Needle.
Right.
Where you can get that...
A little bit of movement because of High Needle's flatness.
Yeah, when you get that smooth, flat part of the bit contacting the floor, then you're able to move around.
Right.
But this is in between. It doesn't have the movement. It can still fall over, and it still falls to the center.
I agree. I don't like it at all. Not anymore, anyway. It was fine in the beginning, but it is horribly fallen off.
It was acceptable in the beginning.
Yeah. Alrighty, out of the next one here, we have Quake.
Quake
is really fun.
I would have put Quake in F tier.
I don't think so. It is more controllable than its previous generation's iterations.
Okay, but in the context of X.
But in the context of X, it's still fine.
I think it's all
Like,
right.
it is an attack bit that will ride the X line properly.
It does ride the X line, I'll give it that.
And it does funny jump movement and stuff, and it's fun, so it goes in D tier.
It's fun, so we didn't put it in F tier.
Yes.
But I don't think the bouncing or the quaking is good.
No,
at
it's
all.
not. No, 100%. You're just wasting stamina into throwing yourself into the air. It's not good.
It burns stamina and it causes you to jump so that you can accidentally jump
Just
on your opponent.
or over them straight up.
Over them, yeah. Jumping onto your opponent is not a really good move. It's
No.
your ratchet versus their blade.
Yeah, I agree. And I like, again, it's not. I don't think it's trash. I don't think it belongs in F tier.
Okay. We did see somebody joke at the tournament with this.
Yeah, and it is fun. So like a little bit of fun can bump it up a tier.
Beyblade go burr.
Beyblade go burr. But that being said, that's the end of D tier. Like we said, this is kind of a top-heavy list because that's all that goes into F and D here.
Yeah.
All these things are just kind of like, why? Like Quake you're taking for fun, Needle you're taking because you don't have anything else. Why are you taking Spike?
Right.
Why are you taking Spike?
Because you're going into that tournament where you pick bad Beyblades for your opponent to use.
True.
If you're going to one of those tournaments, just flip the whole list upside down.
Yeah, just flip the list upside down. That's fine. So the next one, this one's going to be
Onto
into C tier.
Yeah.
These are very usable. All of these are like viable,
Yeah.
but they're just outclassed.
Yeah. We're getting into the usable but outclassed or usable but niche.
Yes. And at the start of C tier here, at the bottom of C tier, we have Gear Ball. It's a ball bit that rides the X line and kills itself.
Right. So the ball shape, I think, is actually really good.
Yes.
I love the way that this rides around the stadium, but once it hits the X line, I'm cooked.
Yep. It either knocks itself over or it knocks itself out.
Yeah. But it is kind of interesting because the ball shape, the larger the ball is, the more motion you get in the stadium.
Yeah.
The smaller the ball is, the more likely it is to fall to the center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gear Ball you get really good reverse lines with, and you can like kind of dance around the stadium and do a little bit of tornado stalling if you want to.
Yep. But for the kind of builds that you put ball onto, defensive or stamina builds,
Yeah.
I don't want to be riding the X line.
Right.
That just consumes stamina, and I'm probably not going to be attacking with it.
Right. There are some builds that really like it. Like back in the day, Cobalt Dragoon Cobalt Drake, really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
There are like those like weird defensive stamina builds that still like to run Gear Ball every once in a while, but I don't know. I just don't think it's that viable.
Yeah. Some people like the gear bits, but not me.
Yep. Speaking of gear bits, it's Gear Needle. Basically the same thing as Gear Ball. I like Gear Needle. It's got really decent defense. And the way that it leans, because it has like the way that the gears are.
Oh yeah. So
it stands up a little bit better.
Yeah. The tip shape looks about the same as Needle, but because those
It's also it's rounder than Needle.
it's rounder.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's more of a ball shape, really.
Oh, so you get a little bit of movement.
Yeah.
Because those gear teeth go so far up or down, if we would flip it around,
Right.
they contact the floor and they prevent you from falling over nearly as far.
Yes.
That might consume a little bit of stamina, but it is better than your ratchet or your blade hitting the floor.
Right. But I still don't think like there's just other things that you could be using that stand up better.
Yeah.
And just do other things better than Gear Needle.
Yeah. You have those downsides of it can fall to the center, but also it's high gear count.
No, it's not high gear count.
Oh.
The gear bits are not.
Okay.
It's the Excel bits that are these fat boys.
Sorry, I'm mixing it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so not so bad. I feel like I still take the X line with this.
You do, yeah. It definitely does, because the gears are longer,
Yeah.
so it does interface a little bit easier with the X line. But I don't think it has the same problem that Gear Ball does, where it kills itself.
Yeah.
Because Gear Ball is almost always guaranteed to hit the X line, whereas Gear Needle is most likely getting bounced into the X line.
That's reasonable. Ball moves around a little bit more versus Needle falling to the center. So Ball is going to touch the X line on its own.
Right. And then do its shenanigans.
Yeah. But both of these, not terrible. You can use them.
Yeah.
There's situations where you want to use these.
Speaking of not terrible in situations that you can use them, it's Excel.
Excel is kind of neat because there are situations where you want the biggest smack on planet Earth.
Yeah, you just want to take the X line. Hope you want to hopefully take the X line, go a million miles a minute, and just beam them into outer space.
Yeah.
However, I find it super inconsistent.
Right.
These fat gears, the Excel gears, we like to call them, the ones with more gears on the gear bit. They don't like to interface with the gear X line very well. They bounce off and go randomly.
Oh, yeah, that is one of the problems.
Yeah.
Excel gear is just like my nickname for it because Excel was the first bit that had the high tooth count.
Yes.
That goes really fast on the X line.
Yes.
But this one, it's pretty good. It's flat, but with
more gears.
More gears.
It's flat. It's literally just flat with more gears. It's the same diameter, the same shape.
Yeah.
The only thing that's different is it has more gears.
Yep, and I love flat. I can control it very easily. I know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Now this one,
it's less predictable because of the X line.
Yeah, you can touch the X line and fly off in a direction.
Yep.
Or maybe drain your stamina too much by riding the X line.
Yeah.
But maybe you want to do that. Maybe you want to ride that X line.
Unga bunga.
Unga bunga.
Next up, we have Gear Ball. Gear Ball's fine.
Wait, not Gear Ball.
Disc ball, not gear ball. You're right. Disc ball. I was talking about all these gear bits. Disc ball. It's super tall. It has this big old disc.
This is one of the funniest bits ever. It does have some use where you want a really
Tripio at home.
A really tall standing, high stamina build.
They took away Tripio from us and they gave us disc ball instead.
Yeah. Oh, that was the funniest thing. So the reason this bit even came out is because there was a contest or a poll. People wanted the blade Tripio from previous generations,
which is just this giant attack ring.
That's a propeller.
That's a propeller.
It's like one of those toys where you pull the string and the helicopter flies off.
Yeah.
It was one of those in Beyblade form.
And Sakura told me legitimately tried. They have prototypes. But they were like, this thing is a safety hazard. You can't launch it. It's a safety hazard. So they canceled it. And then like 2 months after canceling it, they released Disc Ball.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Disc Ball has use.
Yes.
It has the best end game cheating I've ever seen.
It rolls around so much.
Yeah, it rolls on that ring. First off, the ball, it has plenty of stamina. Then when you get to the end game where you start falling over, it rolls on the ring. It rolls way longer than some of the other bits.
Yep. And because it's so round and stuff, it's very funny.
Yeah. But it's in C tier because it's incredibly tall.
And easy to burst.
Yeah. It's easy to burst because you can hit the ratchet, and it's kind of easy to knock the bit out.
Yes, because
uppercut it off.
You just hit it so hard that you knock it apart, or if you're at an angle enough, you hit the disc with your blade, and it just pops the disc out of the ratchet.
Yeah, like smacking down.
Yep.
And popping it out.
Or just like this.
I see.
And hitting the disc that's like here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this it's fun. It has uses, but it's not a generalist bit.
No, it's not a generalist. I would be. Oh, excuse me. Oh. I wouldn't be upset running it, but there are better things.
Yep.
And to top off C tier, we have Dot.
It's Dot. Oh, it's a little hard to see from here. That is Dot, not High Needle.
Yes, that is Dot, not High Needle. It's interesting. You wear the nub off of the little nub off the first Dot, and it becomes a pretty good defense bit, in my opinion. Like stamina defense bit.
I don't think we've worn ours out.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've done some testing with it.
Okay, well, I still think it's mid, even after wearing it out.
That's why it's in C tier, right? That's
You're right.
Definition of mid, right?
Yeah. So this has some of the problems that Needle has, where
it falls over and stuff.
It falls over and it can fall to the center.
Yeah, and the dots do drain stamina when it starts to lean.
Yep.
But when you, like I said, when you wear off that first dot, and then you have like the 4 or 5 dots on the inner ring, basically keeping it standing, it has some really interesting movement and properties. But I just think there are better things to be doing with defense than dot.
Yeah, I think it's just okay. Personally, I wouldn't use this one, whereas the rest of C tier, there are niche situations or funny moments where I would use them.
That's fair. That's valid, honestly.
Yeah.
That's C tier.
That's it for C tier. These are okay, but I do think they get outclassed by a lot of.
This is mostly just the outclass crew.
Yeah.
They're all usable, but there's just things that do their job better.
Excel gear fanatics come at me.
Yeah, for real. I don't like Excel gears at all. Alrighty. On to B tier. First entry to B tier here is gear flat.
Gear flat.
Gear flat go beep.
Oh, this is another funny burring.
Yep.
bit.
It yells and then it attacks you and then you die. It's one of the more aggressive attack bits. I think it's the second most aggressive attack bit. Plastic attack bit. Next to Excel.
Yeah. This is another one that you can use. I'm not a big fan of it, but I've certainly seen it used. It runs sort of like flat. It's a little bit different. I don't think it grips the stadium quite like flat.
No, it has. I think it grips it worse, personally.
Yeah.
It feels a little slipperier.
Yeah, because of that star pattern.
Yeah.
It doesn't get flat-on-flat contact as much. It tends to get the nubs riding against the bottom of the stadium.
Right.
But, it is pretty good. And because of its shape, I'd say you do have a chance of launching it, you can get a launch with a slight angle, let it flatten out, then hit the X line.
Yeah, and then you'll probably not self-KO.
Yeah. And
you still have a really big hit because you have the good mesh with the X line because of the way that the gear bit works.
Yep. This one's decent. It's just not my cup of tea.
Right. A very similar bit follows that bit. It's gear point. Now, there are two different molds of gear variations of gear point. There's a gear point that has a point, and there's a gear point that doesn't really have a point.
Mm-hmm.
The one without the point seems to be the more preferred one for attacking.
Is it really that different from a gear flat?
No. They're very similar.
That's why it goes right next to it.
When you have the point, the version with the point, you can get those funny point stamina wins in the middle and the end, but you also get that issue their point just kind of stalls out.
Mm-hmm.
Though I just still think point is one of the best bits in the game. That doesn't matter. Gear point doesn't act like point.
Yeah, that's it. Is gear point doesn't act like point as much as we want it to.
Right.
Same thing with trans point.
Yeah.
Not quite point.
But trans point has other benefits, so.
It does.
I just don't really like gear point. I haven't really found a very strong niche for it, but I do know that people like it. So it went into B tier right next to gear flat because it sees use and I know it's posts results. So.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of the ranking is if other people can use it, if there are builds available for it.
We are trying to be as objective as we can. Not every tier list is subjective. Every tier list is an opinion. But we are trying to be educated with our opinions here and not just being like, I don't like gear flat, so it goes into F tier.
No. If it was purely opinion-based...
yeah, purely opinion-based, it would be an F tier. However, it's not.
I'd put it in a D tier, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, on to the next one here. We have Bound Spike.
Ooh.
Bound Spike is interesting. It's fun. Very wobbly, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the wobble is so detrimental that it is completely unusable, but I do think it is a downside.
I'm not a huge fan of Bound Spike. I've used it in a few situations, and it feels like the wobble is detrimental.
Oh, absolutely. I'm saying that it is. It's just I don't think it's deathly detrimental, unusably detrimental.
Yep. I think the bound gimmick is neat.
Yes.
If they could do that bound gimmick where the bit can move up and down a little bit, if they could do that without causing it to wobble,
yes,
then I would be really excited.
Because I do think that the bound gimmick was actually doing something outside of the wobble.
Yeah. It did seem to reduce the amount of bounce when you launch it into the stadium and when it jumps.
Yes.
I have a tendency to chuck the Beyblade downward so that it bounces on the first.
Which is not good, because then you get unpredictable movement.
Yeah, I get unpredictable movement, and my opponent can go underneath me and quick snipe my ratchet.
Yeah.
But Bound Spike absorbed a lot of that bouncing.
Yes.
So it was kind of cool. It had some use.
It also has one of the best bit shapes in the game, where it kind of has this little spike in the middle of an island of flat, which the best tip ever made, metal change, is that shape. But they unfortunately put it on a wobbly ass bit, so it doesn't matter that it's that shape, and I'm really sad.
Right, we might see this shape later without the bound mechanic, and we'll see how it does.
Yeah, because I think the shape is really powerful. It is, like I said, it's basically metal chain shape, which is one of the most powerful shapes in the game.
I don't trust this shape yet, actually. I think the dot on it in the center is too big.
On this one, maybe it is. It's bigger than metal change for sure.
You're saying it has the theoretically best shape,
yes,
but this is not the best implementation of that shape.
highest ranking of the Needle family.
Now I'm happy.
It's High Needle.
Yay!
Yay! High Needle it's a stamina bit with a little bit of defensive properties. You can move it around the blade to dodge. I think it's fine.
The downside is that it's tall.
Yeah.
The upside is that it has a wide base so that it doesn't fall over. Unlike Spike or Needle or other stuff.
Yeah.
Or Dot.
Or Dot, yeah.
Yeah. This has the capability.
Or even any of the Ball family.
Yeah. This has the capability to stand up after leaning heavily.
Yes.
And at the early stages of Beyblade X, this bit was fantastic. I loved this thing.
Yeah. Back about a year ago, it was some of the top stamina you could get because it was like decent defense at the time, and it would spin forever, and you could dodge with it. Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah.
But it's starting to fall off now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now it's fallen off a bit. You still have the issue of it can fall to the center of the stadium, putting you at risk of being attacked from the X line.
And it is low bit burst resistance, which is always a problem.
Probably, the other biggest issue is the low burst resistance combined with slightly increasing the height.
Yep.
That puts you at some risk.
It does. I still think it's very powerful. I think it's very usable. But again, like most things in B tier, there is stuff that outclass it.
It holds a place in my heart.
It holds a place in my heart. Next up is the other high bit. It's high taper.
Yeah, so this one has burst resistance.
Some people are going to be really upset about where we put taper, but they're going to have to deal with it because I don't think taper is as good as some people say it is.
No, I mean, if you can use taper...
I'm just going to actually, because it's the next one, I'm just going to put this here. They're basically the same.
Regular taper.
Regular taper.
Oh, it's slightly better because it's not tall.
Yeah, it's slightly better because it's not tall. There's the taper cult. They think that taper is the best bit in the game, and I understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, there are so many weird downsides to taper that I can't say that it's that good.
Yeah. I've seen it fall over funnily too much.
I've seen it self-KO too much. I've seen it fall over funnily too much. I've seen it be milquetoast hits too much. Mm-hmm. I've seen it do unpredictable things too much. It's too weird, too finicky.
We don't have the reliability from gameplay testing to put this any higher.
Yeah.
But I do think it's good. It's a good attack bit. You can get some nice patterns out of it, and I mean nice patterns out of it when you launch it correctly.
Yes, 100%. I do agree. But again, it's just that self-KO risk where it just like takes the X-line and ejects into the pocket for some reason.
Yeah, but like personally, there are other attack bits that I can launch better, more reliably, and I know how they're going to behave.
Same. This is probably the biggest opinion on this particular tier list.
Yeah.
If I were to have to say that, but this is the least objective placement, and where my opinion of the bit puts it lower than maybe its actual usage stats and results posting.
Yeah, well, I can't quite get it to work.
Right. Same.
So go make your own tier list.
Yep. Go make your own tier list. Exactly. All right. Next up.
We kid. We still see this in tournament a lot.
Yeah, we do. This is really going to see some people are like, you put a Rubber Excel above taper? Yes. I think Rubber Excel is insane. But it's really, 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 really hard to use, so I can't put it above B tier.
Yeah, it is hard to use, and I don't have enough practice with it to make good use out of it. I do not trust myself taking it to a tournament because I don't have the practice, the experience with it.
Right, and it wears super fast, so like even if we wanted to get the experience with it, we'd have to spend like freaking $7 a copy or more to...
$7 sounds cheap.
I mean, that's... okay, sorry. $7 from Mercari, waiting 2 weeks, and paying $30 shipping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now the price checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this bit, it has incredible grip on the stadium. I mean, it's rubber. It's meant to.
Yeah, but you can't launch it hard, because if you do, it just like takes the X-line and then dies, because it can't actually X-dash.
That funny dome shape on it, it's detrimental. It has a very short gear portion of it.
It's supposed to lift... The dome is supposed to lift the Beyblade off of the ground so the rubber isn't touching the ground when you're X-dashing. That's not how physics works.
It doesn't quite work.
It just kind of falls over and then rolls on it and then stalls. And then when it does successfully X-dash, it hits the center and full stops.
Yeah.
Like, all momentum, gone. It parks itself in the center and then starts doing this.
Yeah. The X-line behavior is really awkward. it doesn't ride the X line as fast as you want if it rides properly, or you get it to do a full X dash, and like Fable said, it comes off the line, touches the bottom of the stadium, and loses all its forward momentum.
Yep. However, if you pull it at a medium launch, at like medium strength, and at a very specific angle, and you get it to flower properly, it's as strong as a standard rubber attack bit from older generations.
Yeah, you don't need the X line. That's the crazy part.
Yep.
From just from it riding on the bottom of the stadium, it can totally knock out another blade.
And it's I think in the right hands, Rubber XL is absolutely 100% terrifying and probably one of the best bits in the game. But because its skill floor is so freaking high, it's B tier.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't really use this without practice.
Yep.
You'll just die, I guess. TT, please come out with some bit where you can replace the rubber on it so that I can actually use them.
No. Buy our $30 product.
Pencil eraser bit.
Buy your $30 product. Next up, we have Glide. This one's a little interesting to be this high up. But it's ball that is palm, so it has a little bit more stamina. However, it has a stupid cuff that makes it not have as much stamina.
Yeah. So palm is the white plastic that
POM,
is
yeah.
the gliding surface.
Yeah.
The same plastic that's used inside of the launchers.
Yes.
You see
for the gears and stuff.
Yeah. That's our dog crunching in the background.
Yeah, sorry about the dog bone.
So this is a really cool bit. It has high stamina when it's not leaning over too much.
Yep.
And it has some stand-up capability.
Yeah. It's a ball bit that doesn't suffer from the ball fall.
Right. Yeah, that's the best thing is it doesn't ball fall. I was able to use this in tournament once to counteract left spin Beyblades.
I took third place with it against Wizard Rod level on Wizard Rod as well.
Ooh.
And I took it into finals.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the Wizard Rod builds that does well into Wizard Rod level.
Yeah. So it has good stand-up capability at the expense of burning stamina when it does so.
Yeah, and also it has Excel gears, so if it does hit the X line for whatever reason, it's going to do unpredictable things.
It's gonna fly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
this one, it's not great on its own, but it is good in the context of other bits.
yes,
Other bits that try to stand up against it, like, standing up upright.
like level, elevate, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
The LAD.
Life After Death.
Life After
LAD.
Death. Yep,
But I don't know. In a vacuum, it's all right.
I agree.
Other bits have more stamina.
Yeah, I do think it is the best of all of these bits, though. Maybe we should move this here. Maybe we should move that here. Just because of the results that it posts.
Yeah, maybe based off like tournament results.
Yeah, just because.
You got a dog right behind you.
Yeah, I see that. Hi, Marcus. Hi, Papa Dog. Yeah, I maybe we should move Taper up because this will make people happy.
The Taper is a little more generally usable.
Yeah.
Whereas Glide is a niche pick.
Yes. So there, we rectified our low taper placement a little bit. Anyway, on to A tier. We have Transpike or Point. Excuse me.
Transpoint.
It's point with Rush's diameter, a bigger point, and a height change gimmick.
So the height change, don't care. Useless gimmick.
Useless gimmick. You put it in 60, it'll end the game in 60 and 197 out of 200 rounds. Like, this is actual statistics from our testing.
So the height change gimmick doesn't come into play too much.
No. It does change mid-battle, but it will almost always end in 60.
Yeah.
And I don't think changing in mid-battle does anything, except for occasionally send you out the top of the arena.
Yeah. Oh, that is funny. Yeah, the rotation can give you some upward momentum.
Yeah, it's very silly. You get some weird jumps. And some people say that it bursts a lot, but I haven't really run into that issue.
We haven't really seen that.
Yeah.
The burst resistance on it is fine.
Yep.
I can understand how increasing the height of the Beyblade can increase the burst risk,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It hasn't been a big deal.
Yeah. I will say that this is much less active than regular point. It's much more passive because of the bigger ball and smaller diameter of the flat.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of nice. Maybe you want that.
Yeah, maybe you actually want the calm side of point instead of the more aggressive side of point for once.
So this is a really cool balance bit.
Yes, I like it a lot. I think it's really powerful. I think it offers pretty good defense in the balance context.
Yep.
Still a balance bit for sure, but I think it's very good in the anti-attack ABA kind of matchup because of the way it's like sticking power when it's stationary.
Yeah. This bit, in battle, it performs better than I expected. I thought the wings that stuck out the side were going to be a detriment, but no, it's no big deal.
Yeah, it really hasn't been an issue for us, at least.
Yeah.
Some people think they are, but I haven't seen any issues with it. It does do some weird things on the X line sometimes.
Sometimes? Yeah.
But like it's not as bad as like Excel gears.
Right. Yeah, so it's a decent balance bit, and maybe a little more calm than point.
Yeah. Yep. Alrighty. Speaking of points, it's Unite.
Hey, it's Unite.
Unite doesn't actually have a point, and I don't think it's supposed to. All of the like app models and promotional materials show it not having a point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the point in Unite is a red herring, and we're never going to get a Unite that has a point. But beside the point, Unite is basically ball taper.
Yeah. It does have some pretty cool behavior because of that.
Yes.
I can get it to do a reverse X-line movement.
Or you can get it to be hyper-aggressive.
Yeah, or you can launch it flat, and that bottom of the bit will really touch the stadium and grip.
Yep. I think it's very versatile bit. There's a number of attackers that like it, Shark Edge, TB. And I think it's like fine in a aggressive stamina context. Like if you wanted to do a bumper car build like Wizard Rod level or Wizard Rod Rush with Wizard Rod Unite, I think you could.
For me, this bit is a little too balanced, where I'm not quite getting the advantages of ball, but I'm not quite getting the advantages of taper or flat.
Yeah.
So I'm a little hesitant on this one.
That's fair.
But the performance is nice, and it is unique. It
Yeah.
drives differently than taper.
It does drive differently than taper, and I do think it offers that like endgame stamina that some of the aggressors really want after a beat up win.
Yeah.
After a heavy beat up, like Phoenix Wing, for example, likes to beat up the opponent and then outspin them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think taper helps with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or not taper, excuse me.
Unite.
All right, next up, we have Cyclone. Cyclone is Rush's angry little brother.
Budget Rush.
It's much more aggressive than Rush and has regular gears, so it's faster on the X line.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that gear profile is different.
Yep, but I do think it's a little less consistent than Rush.
Yeah, I'd say it drains stamina a little bit more because of its star pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if it's more aggressive. I do think it's a little less consistent than Rush. It doesn't grip the stadium quite as well as a flat-bottomed bit.
Right, because it does the same kind of issue that Gear Flat has, right? Where it screams and doesn't grip well, in my experience.
Mm-hmm. But
I don't think the Star Shape does anything left versus right spin, by the way. They do the same thing.
Yeah, the performance is just about the same left or right spin.
Yeah.
We did try it left spin. Didn't notice a difference. You could... whatever.
Yep. But yeah, it's Budget Rush.
Yeah.
Budget Angry Rush.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Especially if we wanted to do like multiple rush or if we wanted particular attack patterns.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd ever know of a reason why I'd want to run double rush, but like you could. Bumper car plus something else.
Yep. Yeah, I'd say this bit it's not bad.
Yeah, I like it.
It's not bad.
It's very usable and yeah, I think it's good. Next up, we have Hexa. It's Excel gears, but it's big, wide, and flat.
I think Hexa has a lot more utility than some of the other ones in A tier.
Yes.
Whereas other ones in A tier are kind of like, they're balanced good. Hexa has a very specific use, and that is standing up.
Yep. Hexa does not fall over. You want to stand up? Use Hexa.
Yep.
It doesn't have the best stamina. The ridges really eat itself.
Oh yeah. It drains stamina in the mid game, in the end game, all over the game. It drains stamina.
Yep, and of course you have the downside of Excel gears as well. So if you hit the X line, you're either doing unpredictable things or leaving.
Yep.
But its upside of not being able to fall over and having pretty good KO resistance skyrockets it to A tier, in my opinion.
And burst resistance.
Yes, it's high needle, but with burst resistance is what it is.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things why it gets ranked higher than high needle.
Yeah.
Is because of that burst resistance. So you don't have to you can put it onto your stamina type without making it bursty.
Right, I agree.
Yeah. And just the stand-up capability of this thing is insane.
Yes.
In a left versus right situation, you can very often get the win using this.
As long as you're not against one of the other high LED bits that we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, you can get out stand up, out LAD'd.
Yes.
But Hexa goes really high because of it. It is ranked high.
Yep. I agree.
And also, one more thing to note, you can get some movement out of this.
Yes, you can be aggressive with it.
Because that point shape is kind of shallow, a little flattish, it means you can give it a slight angle and then you'll be gripping the stadium.
Yeah.
It won't fall to the center nearly as much.
It still can absolutely fall to the center, but it usually doesn't.
Yeah.
It usually does not.
Yeah.
You usually get like a nice sweeping pattern with it.
Yeah.
Which is nice. That's a good pattern. Good for dodging. Finally, here we're getting to a real aggressive bit. We have low flat.
Oh, finally, a good bit.
Low flat is really aggressive. It's got no stamina, and I think it's a trap on most blades that people think that it's good on. Mm-hmm. AKA, it's not good on Shark.
Yeah, actually,
but
we've tried it so much on Shark.
Yeah, and it's just it underperforms compared to flat and other bits.
Yeah.
Flat, rush, taper, point, even.
Yeah. But it does grip the stadium very well.
Yeah. Very glass cannon, very all ass, no gas.
Yep. I've noticed that this bit wears out kind of a lot.
Yes, you can get people have been calling it low flat fray, where the edges just kind of like start to fray.
Yeah. Because it's completely flat like that, the
and
edges,
it's a very, very sharp corner.
Yeah, the edges get chipped, and then the performance changes. And
significantly.
Yeah, it's not nearly as good once it's worn out because it doesn't grip the stadium as well.
Yeah, but I still think like when it's fresh and before it wears, I think it is one of the better attack bits, one of the best in the game.
Yeah, and it does make your blade lower.
Yes, which is always good for attacking.
Yeah, so maybe in some situations you can use that lower attack to get to somebody's ratchet.
Yeah, like with El Drago or with Terra, for example, Talon Terra or Viper Tail. But don't put it on Shark. Shark is a trap. Shark doesn't have upper. It's all smash. Those fins, they're just there to be pretty. It's not real upper, I promise.
Oh, and it's very hard to lean with low flat.
Yes.
Because it's so low that you can get scraped, you can get some fall over.
Yeah. So you don't want a heavy tilt with low flat because you'll just kind of scrape yourself to death.
Which is odd because the other flat bits I really do want to tilt.
Right. Speaking of other flat bits, it's flat.
My preferred flat.
This is my favorite attack bit, I think. Pure attack bit. That does nothing but attack.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's some things that are higher than this that would be attack bits, but they do more than that.
Balanced attack bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is it is my favorite attack bit, and it's my most controllable attack bit.
Yes.
And that's probably why it's my favorite, because I know how it's going to behave.
It's very predictable. It's very easy to use. You can pull Unga Bunga maximum with it, and it usually doesn't end itself if you're launching with a little bit of brain.
Yeah, if you're trying to learn your launching angles, use flat.
Yes.
You'll really see a difference between high angle, mid angle, and launching completely flat.
Yes, even more so than some of the bits that advertise being, change your angle, change your movement. No, just use flat.
Flat really does it.
Yeah.
I tend to launch flat with a slight angle, like less than 20 degrees angle. It rides on the edge of the bit for a little bit, rocks back and forth, and then as the Beyblade levels out, as it straightens up,
pop!
Yeah, then the flat bottom portion of the bit contacts the stadium, and it really grips. Yeah, it
takes off and takes the X line, just like you want it to. Yeah, I think it's a really good bit.
Yeah, my most controllable attack bit. So anytime I want attack, I really use this because I need to place my Beyblade in the correct position.
Yep.
And only use the X line when I need to.
I do like that advice. I think that practicing your launches with flat is a really good bit to level up your launching.
Yeah.
And learning how angle affects stuff.
Yeah, you'll see a difference.
Yeah. Alrighty, on to the opposite side of the triangle here. It's orb. It's round.
Orb.
It's small. It's ball, but with slightly more KO resist ?
I don't believe that.
Yeah, right. It's just ball again. I don't know why it's not next to ball. Because it's not ball. Because ball outspins it. Because the orb falls over more than ball.
So I'm not a huge fan of orb, but it's still good. I like the wider ball shapes because they get more movement out of them.
Yes.
And it's much easier for me to get a reverse X-line movement using ball or gear ball than it is for orb. Orb tends to fall to the center.
Yes.
On the other hand, it does have really good stamina.
Yeah.
And, maybe you can just adjust your launch angle and get that reverse X-line.
You can absolutely get a reverse X-line with orb. It is possible. I've done it a few times. I know you've done it a few times.
Yep.
It's just much harder to do it with the small ball of orb than it is to do it with free ball, with gear ball. Even with high needle, I think it's easier to do it with high needle than it is with orb.
Yep. And if I miss that reverse X-line movement, then my Beyblade tends to start moving around the X-line, stop moving right about the X pocket,
and then get knocked out. Yeah.
And fall to the center or get knocked down.
Yep.
So I need to make it all the way around for it to be a good movement pattern.
Yeah, and orb, like Mop says, likes to fall short sometimes.
Yeah. So I think versus some of the other round bits, it might just be a placebo, or maybe it's my experience where I've seen it win. Yeah, I think it's pretty personal, but this is a very high stamina bit.
Yes.
And it's very useful for those stamina builds.
Right. Speaking of very high stamina, it's free ball.
This is so similar.
Free ball is just slightly wider than orb, less wide than ball, and has a more sheer fall off than ball.
Yeah.
It also has no inner gears, like down here, where it interacts with the ratchet. So it doesn't X dash like at all. It can touch the X line, and it doesn't really take off.
I really like it for that.
Yes, same. I think it is a very safe. It's a safe version of ball.
Yeah.
With a little bit more fall over.
Yeah. And if you have one of these bits but not the other, just use the one you got.
Right. Even like ball, like you'll notice when we put ball, orb and free ball, they're so comparable. Just use them.
Yeah, they're not that far off.
They really aren't that far off.
I wouldn't use all of them on a 3-on-3 deck. Like, I would not make my deck all like ball, orb, free ball, because then you have a vulnerability to bursting.
Yeah, and just attack in general.
And attack, or being stood up on.
Yes. Yeah, like using something like a Hexa or one of the other high LAD bits to outspin you by LAD.
Yeah, but having one of these on your team is excellent and gives you high stamina.
Yeah, that's A tier though. That's the end of A tier. All of these bits are some of the best. You'll almost definitely see at least one of these in a tournament. All over the place. I think they're very good. Hi, Frost. Hello, little boy.
He's come to bother us again during our rankings.
Yeah, at least we're almost done.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts here on A tier as a whole?
A tier is really good. We see him at tournament. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place in performance because you have attack, you have stamina, and you have balance in here.
Yep, you just have basically the whole triangle. We're missing defense, but defense isn't real, sadly.
Now, defense isn't that real. It's very difficult to get a bit that prevents you from being knocked out.
And then that also doesn't just become a stamina bit.
Yeah. I actually think the flat bits are a bit better at
defending.
Yeah, they're better at defending. They either grip the stadium or they grip the little ridges on the inside of the stadium.
Right.
Also, rubber is insane at defense.
But we just don't have any right now. Maybe if you round out Rubber XL, you can get a rubber ball out of it.
Yep.
Alrighty, time for S tier. These are the best of the best. And starting off our best of the best here, it's Elevate.
You want to know why? Left spin.
Left spin. Left spin is S tier because it's the best left spin of stamina bit right now. It makes an unbalanced square good at equalization, which is disgusting.
Yeah. So this bit has crazy stand-up life after death ability.
Yes. However, it has a glaring weakness.
Yeah.
Low burst resistance.
Very low burst resistance.
It's to the point where some of the more competitive bladers have taking apart ratchets and tuning their ratchets internals to hold on to bits better.
That feels cheaty.
It feels cheaty, but it's no different than buying 100 ratchets and finding the one that's tight. Because I have a couple of the ones that are like that.
Yeah.
Like, that are super tight, naturally. So, like, it's really no different than just buying 100 ratchets and playing the lottery, right?
Yeah. So this thing has crazy endgame ability because the bottom shape is very good at standing upright, like Hexa. But
yeah, and it's got the disc that disc ball has, so it doesn't fall over that way.
Yeah, it has that cheater spin at the end where it rolls on the ring rather than falling over and letting the blade or the ratchet touch the bottom.
An interesting thing to note about Elevate, comparing it to disc ball, is it is a low bit. It is a low height bit.
Yes.
Whereas disc ball is the tallest bit in the game right now.
That is one of the cool things, is that it's remarkably low. That ring doesn't increase the height.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yep.
Everybody thought it was going to be super tall, but nope.
Yeah. But I would only put this onto an opposite spin matchup.
Yes.
I would not put this onto a same spin matchup.
I don't see any same spin use for this at the moment because it's just too much of a burst risk.
Yeah.
I will say, for those of you familiar with the Burst series, Elevate feels like Drift had a real weakness. Like, it feels exactly like the Drift bit, but if Drift had a real weakness because of its like ridiculous burst resistance, that's bad. Mm-hmm. But I still think it's one of the best bits in the game.
Yeah,
hands down.
And it does have cool movement patterns because it's relatively flat and it grips the stadium. When you launch it at a slight angle, you're able to make it move around in circles.
Yes, you can make it do tornado stalling. You can make it do attack. Man, it's just so good. It's versatile.
Yeah, and can I say again, the stand-up ability is insane.
Yeah, its LED is nuts.
Our only left spin Beyblade blade right now.
Ooh, that's good.
That's good. Is still not good. Cobalt Dragoon.
Yeah, Cobalt Dragoon. Yep.
Yeah, that blade is so unbalanced. It doesn't have great hit. It doesn't have...
It's an unbalanced square.
Yeah, it doesn't have good stamina at all. It wants to fall over. But you put it on this bit, and it literally can't fall over.
Yep, it's gross.
Yeah.
So you just equalize out any ball bit or anything like that.
Yep. And with Elevate, you can often beat Hexa in that stand-up endgame.
Yes, you often can.
Yep.
Hexa.
Hexa drains stamina too much.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
On to the next one here. We have Ball.
Let's go Ball!
Let's go Ball! This is the best stamina, like pure stamina bit in the game, hands down.
Yeah.
It's round. It spins for a long time. You can do the reverse X dash so you don't get hit. You can do some rocking movement so you don't get hit. You can park in the center so you don't get hit. Yeah, it's good.
It's still here.
It's still here. It's literally wave 1 of Takaratomi, and it's still here.
Yeah. So I think Ball is slightly better than Free Ball and Orb.
Yes.
Because of its shape, because it can move around a little bit better, and because it doesn't want to fall over quite as much.
Right.
You still have a risk of it falling over.
The ball fall is real.
Yep, because it doesn't have a skirt. It doesn't have a
flattish
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does still fall over, but it's just got so much raw stamina that's...
Yeah. The stamina is nuts, and it's still here.
Yep.
If you're in a pinch, if you only have certain parts, go ahead and use the other round bits.
You're right. Ball is common enough now, though, that I think most people even should have it, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who doesn't have a Ball because it came out so early in the game.
It came out early, and I think even Hasbro has released a few of them now at this point,
cool.
So that's pretty cool. Alrighty, then on to the next one here. We have Point.
Point!
Point.
Point is the balance of balance bits.
Well, it was the balance of balance bits. There's one that's better now.
Yeah. But
though it's not a balance bit according to TT. Yeah, whatever.
The TT categories are nonsense.
They are nonsense. Point is great. It's very aggressive. It can be very passive. It has similar movement to Metal Change, where you can park it in the center, get hit, and then start doing crazy attacks and dodging and doing stuff. It's got really cool movement. And really powerful attacks and very good endgame stamina.
Yeah, it's far less aggressive in the stadium than flat.
Yes.
And that's kind of a good thing. It's for those builds where you don't want to ride around all the time.
Yeah, it's where you want to be able to beat up the opponent a lot in the early game to drain their stamina by smashing them into the wall or the X pocket or the X line, and then outspinning them at the end by being more stable.
Yeah. Phoenix Point was the build.
It still is kind of the build for Phoenix, right?
It's still a really good build.
A level might be taking over, Rush might be taking over now, but Point is still so choice.
Yeah, it has nice stand-up capability, and it has nice end-game stamina. When it's able to balance on that point in the center of it, it rides really smooth.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
All right, on to the next one. We have Rush. Rush is
pretty cool. I don't know if I would put it in S, or maybe not quite as high. But
if you look at the usage statistics,
is it still off the charts?
Ball, Rush.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. It's one of the best attack bits in the game, mostly because it outspins every other attack bit in the game.
Yeah. Rush has excellent movement and is still able to outspin things at the end.
Yes. It takes the X line a bunch if you want it to, or it can never take the X line if you give it enough tilt. Yep. It has really good all over the place movement where it's really hard to dodge.
Fabel's attack launches with Rush are excellent because it moves all around the stadium. You give it a little tilt so that kind of flat, where as the Beyblade levels out, the behavior of the bit changes.
Yep.
So
you start by rocking around, and then you start spinning, and then you start taking the X line, and then you start rocking again.
Yeah. You can touch every inch of the stadium by using Rush.
Yep.
So it's incredibly hard to dodge. That's probably the biggest problem I have fighting it, is that a lot of the bits that I choose, I either do a reverse X line movement, and then Rush eventually levels out and takes the X line and smacks me
you into existence.
Or I fall to the center,
and then
Rush either rocks in or it takes the X line and comes for me.
I will say the one downside to Rush is its speed. It is much slower than flat or low flat or even Excel or gear flat. But in a way, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it lends itself to being more predictable and more controllable.
Yeah.
Which is what you want, right?
Mm-hmm. I will also say the gear teeth are a little fragile.
Yes, this is very prone to wear. You can see even in this picture, if you're looking close enough, that some of these gear teeth are messed up.
We've had multiple breakages.
We've had 3 or 4 Rushes that are unusable at this point.
Fortunately, Rush is widely available now, so we can get replacements.
It wasn't for the longest time,
yeah.
But now it's pretty easy to get your hands on them.
Yeah, we were riding by with 2 Rushes, one of them broken.
Yeah, and then I had to buy another one of $30. I was like, oh, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Alrighty, on to the last bit here. The best of the best. It's level. I don't know if Mav agrees with this one, but
I think it's good, but I haven't had the luck with it.
Yeah, Mav has had some bad luck in tournament with level. Meanwhile, I've had some insane luck with it, and our testing shows it being insane. Level on Rod is almost unbeatable. Level on Nightmail is insanely strong. Level on Cobalt Dragoon is good. Level on Phoenix Wing is great. Level on Tyranno Beat is amazing.
Yeah.
Level is just really, really good.
Yeah. So this is another stand-up bit. Kind of like
TT
Hexa.
calls it attack. I call it balance.
I would call this balance. I don't think it has the grip on the stadium quite as much. It can grip the stadium.
And it can go crazy. If you launch it flat, it will just KO itself.
Right.
But I think you have to launch it. You have to launch it at such a high angle that it screams. If level is not screaming, your angle is not high enough.
It makes a beautiful sound. It gets extra points for making that high-pitched whine on the stadium.
You're making a jet engine squeal.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just it's really hard to knock out. It has a lot of stamina. It has good LED.
Mm-hmm. I will say
it's just all around powerful.
It is all around powerful. It does drain its stamina.
Yes, the screaming does drain stamina, but that's kind of expected, right?
Yep.
We did see, interestingly enough, in the Cobalt Dragoon level versus Cobalt Dragoon Elevate build battle, Cobalt Dragoon Elevate destroyed Cobalt Dragoon level. It just couldn't outspin it.
Yeah, and that was a very, bit versus bit testing.
Yeah, so I will have to try that, maybe, Silver Wolf Elevate into, Wizard Rod level or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think level doesn't have as much raw stamina, but its stand-up capability, the end game, is really good.
Yes.
And the only downside is I have had poor luck with it, where sometimes it falls over, where I'm riding on the side of the bit, and it doesn't stand up. It doesn't even out.
And I've noticed that it's a difference between Mav and I. I almost never have the level fall over. Meanwhile, Mauve is like one every three launches, it just falls over. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, what's
So
the difference?
it
here?
might be launch technique, but I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, we can't figure it out.
But this level is taking over the tournaments.
Yep.
It's able to compete really well, even in like left versus right spin.
Yes.
It's able to stay standing up.
It's glued to my rod personally, which is really unfortunate because I think it's really good elsewhere, but it's so good on rod that I don't want to put it anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think level is so good because it's able to counter the left spin threat.
Yes.
Which is the left spin is probably the only thing that can really kill Wizard Rod right now.
Wizard Rod Ball reliably, like basically guaranteed. Yes.
Yeah. Attack type can kill it, but
Yeah.
it's not like guaranteed.
No, it's not guaranteed.
And then level, it counteracts the left spin stand up.
Because it just doesn't get knocked over as much.
Yep.
It can fall over, like I said, we see it happen with Mob, but it doesn't.
And the high burst resistance is great.
Oh, of course, yeah. High burst resistance is always going to be a bonus.
So it's more usable in the right spin on right spin scenarios.
Yes.
It's more generally usable than Elevate is.
Yes. And I'm so sad that Elevate is low burst resistance, but at the same time I'm happy.
I'm so glad it is.
I'm so glad because it would be so stupid.
Yeah. I love Elevate having a weakness because it means you can counterplay it.
Yes, I agree. Level doesn't really look like it has a counterplay weakness right now.
No.
We were having a hard time finding anything that beats it reliably.
Have we tried High Needle?
Yes, other people have.
Oh, dang.
we haven't, but other people have.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the tier list. What do you think?
I'm conflicted on some of these.
Same.
The high tiers are so close.
Yeah.
And I mean so close. And it's really launch dependent. Like, it's player dependent, so many of these bits.
Yes, a lot of, like, the thing with blades and ratchets is those are the things that do the work, right? Like, that don't need any player interaction to do what they do. Bits are all player interaction to do what they do. The blader that is launching the bit has to know what angle, what power, and where to place the bit in order for it to perform to its maximum.
Yep. Yeah, so you can make arguments for any of these to go higher.
Yes. Or lower, honestly.
Yep.
It all depends on, like, how much time you've put into the particular bit, what techniques you're aware of, your local scene. It all depends.
Yeah. Actually, the local scene is an interesting one. If people around you are using particular bits, you might need to use something to counter that.
Right. So then this whole tier list can shift around because your matchup chart looks different, right? Like, it really just depends. But we did try again, like we do with all of our tier lists, to be as objective as possible. But as like we say 1,000 times, tier lists are subjective. This is our opinion.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, this one, I think this is a little more opinion-based than either the Blade or the Ratchet tier list, just because it's
so player skill dependent.
It's so player dependent.
Yeah.
Even like changing what side of the stadium I'm on might change what bit I would want to use.
Right. I can actually agree with that because sometimes you don't want certain movement patterns on right or left side.
Yeah. But I think the bits are the really fun part of building a Beyblade.
Yes. Because they're basically I feel like they're what you build your idea from. You have your movement. What do you want that movement to do? What do you want to accomplish with that movement? What are you eating?
What is he eating now?
Don't eat coffee. Don't eat
That'll
coffee.
That'll kill him.
Do not eat coffee. Anyway.
We have to stop before our cat consumes caffeine.
Thank you everyone for hanging out. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you really liked it, go ahead and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye! It's bits! They're bits! Itty bitty bits!
Bits go burr!
Bits go burr!